All right, it's Thursday night and it's the Clemson baseball show. I had a big smile on my face because JP Priester is our remote reporter, and I do believe this will be the first Clemson live broadcast slash podcast done from a church. Uh, JP Priester, how you doing tonight?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I kind of snuck in here, so we're gonna just say an undisclosed church downtown Florence.
There will be no bad words in this podcast. Casey blessed himself before. Casey the Beef Cregan, Message Board Geniuses, Slogo Podcast, Chopping Beef, which I listened to this morning, I think, or yesterday. I'm not sure which one. What's up, Mr. Beef? Where are you at today?
I'm in beautiful downtown Columbia, South Carolina,
Mm.
which is I look out my window and see nothing but soot and rooftops and know that I'm here.
Armpit of the state.
Foolish me, I am at home. Oh, man. Tough going for you, fellas. JP can't say what he wants to say, but that's okay. Here we are, the Clemson Baseball Show. We're here most Thursdays, and it kind of depends on availability. We have jobs, lives, and sometimes try to have fun. Fellas, I was thinking today, what has changed? And I realized that it is once again, for the first time in several years, fun to talk Clemson baseball. I mean, just the way we talked before we hit live and interacted and talking about the team and what we're going to talk about. So much fun to for Clemson to be relevant. National writers talking about them, national writers going to the games. Just a lot of fun. Clemson takes 2 of 3 from Boston College. Up and down weekend, but 2 of 3, and that's what everybody here predicted. So, JP, what's your review of the Boston College series?
No, a good solid series win. You kind of have one game sandwiched in between there where you just got totally dominated by a couple of pitchers. You bounce back, take the series, the finale to clinch the series. I thought it showed some good moxie by this team. It kind of showed the grit they've been playing with over the last month. I thought it was on full display and gives you a good idea what this team's about.
Fourth straight ACC series win that will make them 9-3 in their last 12 after a 2-7 start. Beef, your take of the weekend?
I thought it was great. Even the game that they got completely dominated, they had a chance at the end to kind of to knock on the door and get a couple runs, which, that's fun to see. You hate losing a game, but the fact that they fought all the way to the end, it just makes this team more likable, I think. Yeah, what a great series win. Grice was fantastic on Sunday. I thought the Friday night win was huge. To get, or I guess was it Saturday morning? When was it? There was the 2 games.
I was confused too.
The third, whatever day it was. The first game 1 was a huge one to get, and it was great. It was wonderful weekend. It was good to win 2 out of 3. You kind of at that point you're getting a little greedy to say, man, we should have swept them, but let's take 2 out of 3 and roll on to this weekend. Tough matchup coming up.
As I mentioned, it's a lot of fun these days talking about Clemson baseball, and they're getting some pub nationally. They're ranked 18th by Perfect Game, who I didn't even know how to poll, by the way. It's what we needed, Beef, right? Another college baseball poll. That makes 641, I think. But more importantly, we're talking about this before we hit live. They're 14 in the RPI. And Cam Camarella finally went under 400. I think this is the first time I remember him going under 400 on a season. He's gotten a paltry 388 with 32 RBI and 19 stolen bases. He scored 53 runs on the season, fellas, and they've only played 45 games. Will Taylor at 320, Cooper Ingle at 326. There's no surprise. And, of course, Caden Grice, 312, 11 homers, 44 RBIs. The pitching last weekend, Darden wasn't great on Friday, but Nick Clayton, one of JP's favorite guys, and Ryan Ammons, another one of JP's guys, finished it up. And I said Friday, but here I am thinking about Beef. Game 1, I should say. In Game 2, Gordon wasn't bad, and Hughes finished it up, but they got shut down. And then Game 3, Grice was out of his mind. 8 innings pitched. There was a time where I never thought we'd see 6 innings out of Grice, much less 8. 2 hits and 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, and Garris finished that up. JP, what about the pitchers over the weekend? What'd you take away from last weekend against Boston College?
I thought you got exactly what you wanted to get out of your pitchers. Minus the start from Darden in game one. Since I think that's his third game one start or Friday start, however you want to term it. It's kind of been roughed up in 2 out of the 3. But outside of him, I thought the pitching was on point. Can't say enough about Grice in that finale. 8 strong innings. I kind of, the fan in me wanted to see him get a shot to finish it off in the ninth. Totally understand why they didn't go that route, man. You can't say enough about this pitching staff right now, especially the bullpen, and especially after the first month or whatever it was of the season, however many leads they gave up. They have just rebounded in a big way. And Nick Clayton, Rob Hughes, those kind of guys, they've been a big part of that thing the last couple of weeks.
As we like to say in football, but just as true in baseball, coaching matters. Beef, what'd you take away from the pitching over the weekend?
This might not be very popular between the 3 of us. I thought that was Austin Gordon's best start of the year. Really did. I thought he was hitting his spots, and that was I'm sorry, you give up 3 runs in a college baseball game, you should win. So I really enjoyed watching him pitch Saturday, and Grice was fantastic. Although there was a part of me in the 7th when he kind of gave up the 2 hits right in a row, boom, boom. Or was it the 8th? That I thought they should go get him. But they didn't. They gave him another inning, and I was pleasantly surprised. And Reek Garris was great at the end of that game. But pitching's been great. We've been saying it for weeks about consistency and guys in roles. And I actually watched the podcast today with Darren Vaught and Danny Graves on the ACC Baseball, etc., where they had Bakich. And he literally said that, it took at the beginning of the year. We've been talking about it for how many weeks about consistency and finally getting that. My thing about knowing who's going out there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he literally said that. He said exactly what JP's been saying the whole time about it. You had to find guys in roles and find where they could thrive. And he didn't know at the beginning of the year, first 3 weeks. He said he just had no idea. And then adding injuries to it, it was really even more just rolling the dice. But it's been really nice that he's had consistency. You let Darden have a rougher start that we haven't necessarily seen. I guess 2 out of 3, but and that's okay because the bats picked him up. And then the second game you have a really good start with Gordon, and the bats don't pick him up. So you tip your cap on a game like that and move on. But I thought it was a tremendous series.
So me, Mr. Stat Guy here, I'm going to say something on record. I don't know what his stats are, and I don't care what they are. Nick Clayton has been really, really good for this team when they need him, able to go multiple innings, 4 innings at a time. Just incredible. What do you think, JP?
Hey, he has been one of the catalysts out there in that bullpen. Even when it was going bad, he was the one guy. He has been the most dependable guy all season long. I don't know what his ERA is at right now. Still well under 3, I'm pretty sure. But Casey's talking about consistency. That guy has been Mr. Consistency. They made a little tweak to his deliveries, doing the little side R, 3/4 or whatever you call it. It has been a night and day difference. And if there has been one guy out there in that bullpen that you can rely on, we've seen it twice a weekend sometimes. Yeah. It's been Nick Clayton. It has been Nick Clayton. And like you just touched on, it's not for just an inning or maybe an inning and a third or maybe 2 innings. He can go out there and give you 3, 4 innings when you need it. And he's done it time and again this season.
2.57 ERA, 4-0, 17 appearances, 35 innings. So he's averaging over 2 innings an appearance.
He was a legitimate liability last year.
Yes,
absolutely.
Originally starting the weekend and then coming out of the pen, it was almost like Monty gave up when Nick Clayton was coming in. That's the exact, like JP just said, exact opposite of what's happening this year. It's great to see.
Opponents batting 192 off of him in college. So he pitched 4 innings in, we'll call it game 1 because none of us can remember. 4 innings in game 1 in relief of Tristan Smith. Actually, he faced 2 batters and walked. I think he walked them both. No, he gave up 2 hits. Anyway, Clayton, 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Yes, he gave up 2 runs in 4 innings, and that's not great for his ERA, but he kept the team in the game, and they eventually pulled it out to win that first game.
what was that you was saying about coaching a minute ago? Night and day.
Yep. Night and day. Absolutely. I think and that's something we've harped on the last few weeks too, is the coaching. There's an obvious difference. They know when to leave a guy, as you were talking about, JP, with Grice. They know when to go get him. Sure enough, as soon as I say that, something will happen. But to this point, they've done very well at knowing when to go and get the guys. And that's obviously because the guys are performing when they're put out there on the field. Beef, you are up, my man. Let's talk about Louisville. Tell us all about Louisville and what we got happening this weekend.
Sure. Louisville Cardinals come to town, led by head coach Dan McDonnell in his 17th year as the skipper of the Louisville Cardinals. He's got 688 wins over that time, 2-time National Coach of the Year, 3-time ACC Coach of the Year, 11 ACC championships, 5 College World Series, and I don't like them. They've won a couple big games. It's funny, they've beaten the number 10 team in the country twice, once in TCU early on in the season, once against Kentucky, and blew Kentucky out. Well, 7-0. It was a shutout there. They beat Texas A&M, which was ranked number 12 in the country at one time. They beat Miami 1 out of 3, who was number 12 in the country. They took only 1 of 3 from NC State as far as kind of comparable opponents. They beat Wake, though. They beat Wake 1 out of 3, and they also swept BC. They swept BC in 3 very close games. They're really led offensively by their catcher, Jack Payton. He's a junior. He's hitting .382. He's got 10 home runs, 32 RBIs, and has 7 steals as a catcher, and his OPS is 1.165. So you got to watch out for him. He hits in the 4-hole. They also have JT Benson. He's a left fielder. He's hitting .309, 4 home runs, 25 RBIs. He's also got 12 steals. And their leadoff hitter is a freshman. His name's Gavin Kylan. He's hitting .296, but he's on base a lot. His on base percentage up over 600. Team batting average 295, or right at 600. Excuse me. Team batting average 295. They have 49 home runs as a team in 44 games. 325 runs this team can score. Eye-popping stat for me was 72 of 97 in stolen bases. It's been a staple of Dan McDonnell teams. He's going to stress the defense. So Clemson and the catchers, whether it's Jarrell or whoever's back there this weekend, is going to be tested. On the mound, we have not only the TBA twins, we got the TBA triplets facing each other this weekend, as both teams literally put out 3 TBAs for the starters. So I had to do a little bit of research, which I'm not happy about, but it does feel like 2 out of the 3 starters, I believe, will be Carson Liggett, right-handed pitcher. He's 7-0 with a 2.31 ERA, 54 strikeouts, 22 walks. Opponents hitting .209 against them, and I also think he went Sunday the last 2 weeks. Sounds and feels like a Friday night starter. He has not been at Friday night. He's been Sunday the last 2 weeks. And the Saturday starter the last 2 weeks has been Ryan Hawks, another right-hander, 5-2, 4.04 ERA, 72 strikeouts, 17 walks. Little eye-popping stats there. And opponents are hitting .263 against them. The last 2 weeks, it's been Tucker Biven, another right-hander, on Friday, 0-1, 3.90, 23 strikeouts, 17 walks, hitting .270. Opponents are hitting .270 against them. Team ERA, 3.92, 418 total strikeouts. Opponents are hitting only .230 against this pitching staff and have only given up 22 of 34 stolen bases. So this is a good Louisville team. Clemson likes to move and kind of stress the defense too. I think that's going to be a little piece of what's going on this weekend as well.
All right, Beef, thanks for the rundown. Andrew Watts checks in and says, love the show, guys. Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate that. Louisville, tough opponent. Right now it's scheduled for 3 games in 3 days, but as we always say on college baseball, check social media because it changes. I think like 15 minutes after I said that last week, they changed the Boston College series. So, and they don't even wait till it rains anymore. They just look at AccuWeather or whatever and change it like two days in advance. And it never rains. I think I don't remember. I think it was last week or the week before. It never rained when they had moved the games all around. It never rained or didn't rain till the third game or something. So check the schedule, but it's scheduled. Go ahead, Beef.
They're going to move Saturday. It's right now. It's almost an 80% chance of rain and cold, 66 degrees.
So expect the due to inclement weather tweet sometimes.
Friday and Sunday both look good.
Okay,
Saturday looks a little rough.
We're looking at another doubleheader. All right.
I better leave early in the morning then, huh?
JP's got to get the weather so he can make his trip. All right, 6 o'clock on Friday, 2 o'clock on Saturday, noon on Sunday. That will be changed shortly, according to Casey the Beef Cregan, who doubles as our weatherman here on the Clemson Baseball Show. We love it. JP, last week you nailed it, 2 out of 3. You slacked a little bit at NC State, but, 3. We'll take the sweep. Who would have predicted that, right? What are you thinking about here this week? Clemson hosting Louisville. It sounds like maybe they're going to have a doubleheader one of those days. I don't know if that affects your prediction or not, but what do you got this week?
Yeah, and I caught some flack for that North Carolina State prediction too. Make no mistake, I got a buddy who has let me have it about that. The internet lives forever, he told me.
No doubt.
Hey, I'm telling you, I like the way this Clemson baseball team's playing. I know this is a very good Louisville team. They've spent most of the season in the top 25, just kind of recently fell out of it. Still a top 30 RPI team. But and I do think Clemson probably plays a little bit better away from home than they do at home, but it's not by that much. I fully expect this team to take 2 out of 3 from Louisville this weekend. And when we meet again next Thursday night, we're going to be talking about this team as a possible host team in the NCAA tournament. Not a 2 seed in Columbia, not a 2 seed in Conway. We're talking about regional play into upstate.
Man, I wish I had my Ric Flair drop ready. I don't have it. That's something I use on Sluggo, my Ric Flair drop. Maybe I'll find it while Casey's talking. Beef JP says 2 out of 3. What does the Beef say?
Well, I think that we've been hearing a lot about injuries in the state of South Carolina with baseball teams, not necessarily Clemson, but there's a certain team around the general vicinity where I am right now that has been complaining about injuries recently. Louisville has some as well, and really the leader on their team is the Christian Napchik, and has been for a couple of years, and he is hurt. So not having him is going to be a big deal. It's a team sport still. All that word salad to say, I think Clemson sweeps this series. I'm doing it. I'm not doing 2 out of 3. I'm doing the sweep. I don't know why. I like it. Leggett is as good as it comes in the ACC as far as a pitcher. Louisville always seems to have one guy that is a shutdown guy. Duke swept them. They did sweep BC, but NC State got 2 out of 3. I just think this Clemson team with a week off to get even healthier. There was a part of me that was like, ooh, a week off, not playing that midweek. Maybe they're going to be a little rusty. I think, no, not this time of year. I think they're going to be nice and healthy and ready to go. Arms are going to be rested and going, even if they go the doubleheader. Let's go. Clemson sweep. I'm calling it today.
Nice. Hey, Drew from Nachos and Analysis, also known as JP's, the guy that feeds JP at the game. Says Clemson 2-1, and he brings up a good point, something JP and I were talking about before you jumped on. Big game in Conway next Wednesday. Clemson has, what do we figure out, JP? Maybe 10 out of 11.
10 out of the final 11.
Yeah. USC Upstate's down a bit. Virginia Tech's right on the cusp. They could certainly be in the top 50, so they could be looking at 10 out of 11 of their last games being in the top 50 in the RPI. And I found Ric Flair. This is for Casey's prediction.
I'm the man.
Hey, talking about that game at Coastal, Clemson kind of owes them one, man. The last time they went down there to Conway, they kind of got punched in the mouth. So I'm sure that they have not forgotten that yet.
Well, it wasn't too long ago, the Clemson run rule, Coastal, wasn't it, a couple of weeks back? So
I was there.
Yeah, that was at home. Yeah, that was at home. They owe them one in Conway still.
You were at that game, Beef?
I was. Yeah.
Oh, that's your Dabo game, isn't it? When you ran
It
into
was the Dabo game where I ran into yeah, literally ran into him.
Me being the conservative guy, I'm going to go with JP here and say Clemson takes 2 out of 3. So 2 out of 3 rules. Beef is the outlier, always, of course. That's what he does. That's his job. All right, fellas. Jason Priester, allclemsontigers.com. We're talking baseball, JP, but I know you've been talking some recruiting over there. What else you got going on?
Going to be a big baseball weekend this weekend for me. So if you're a baseball fan, check out the stuff, allclipsandtigers.com. Myself, and Will Vandervoort be at the ballpark all weekend long.
Nice. Beef, what's going on in the message board geniuses?
Fresh episode comes out tomorrow. I was editing it before I got on with you, so there's a lot of fun. We talked the underdog story of Bryce Young. We talked about some possible love riffs at University of Tennessee, so it's a lot of fun.
All right, and we can't tell the people. JP's at a church, so we can't tell anybody what's happening on the Chop and Beef. We'll just just download it. Just download it, and you'll find out.
Not safe for work. Not safe for work.
Not safe for almost anything. All right.
I might even be trespassing.
Well, on that note, we'll get you out of here. For Jason,
it's such a beautiful background, though.
It is. Second to Doug Kingsmore Stadium, but it's a beautiful background. For Jason Priester of allclemsontigers.com and Casey the Beef Cregan from 412 Podcast, I'm Marty Coleman. Seldom deserved. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next Thursday, and hopefully we'll be still happy. Be happy then. Right? Yeah. All right. Next Thursday. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your evening.
You too.